Hello everyone, welcome to event 9 of the Trio Marble Championship. It is the Luge. We have never seen this event before, not in the qualifiers or any variation in the prior summer season. This one has all 3 marbles from every team rolling down a course individually, so one by one, I mean that per team, not per marble. The team will all run at once, but it will just be them, similar to balancing. Twilight Tailors lead the standings by 18 points. The goal for the teams will be to lead the third marble across the line as fast as possible, because the first two, their scores don't count, but the third marble obviously can't finish without 2 marbles finishing before it, and the third marble is the one whose time will count. You can see it's a fairly standard course, not much room for overtaking. Besides that final funnel, you can bounce off your team in the final funnel, hopefully to send yourself closer to the event horizon. But really, teams going into this without much of a strategy. You can see it's fairly standard. The goal, of course, just finish as fast as you can. And in that final section, if you could perhaps bump your marbles into a more optimal position, whatever works. As I said earlier, the Twilight Tailors lead by 19 points over the Lilac Lightning, who are used to being in that first overall spot, and they're trying to win it back here. This is the first event in a while that the Twilight Tailors could actually be passed for first place, but it would require a miracle at this rate. The Lilac Lightning would have to win, and Twilight Tailors probably have to get last place, I think. Here come the hosting Polar Panthers. They had a good time to get into the funnel and are falling fairly quickly, that last marble taking a little bit of extra time. But that looked good compared to the demo run. We obviously have nothing to compare it to so far. It's a 15:61. Obviously when that third marble drops through, that's when we count the time. Red Rogues up second. They have had an alright season, but no standout performance so far, really, in any event. They would like one here. Polar Panthers have already went. They're sitting in 9th in the standings. They were briefly in the top 3, have continued to fall throughout the competition. They need a good, fast second here, the Red Rogues, to pass. The first 2 marbles finish quickly. That last one takes a little bit extra time, and I think they will be second out of 2 to go so far. It will be second out of 2. And the Red Rogues with a 16:25. So again, we're going to have to figure out as we go what the optimal time is. Really, you could have a very slow entire run, and if you got the funnel correctly, you could perform well. I don't know if you would be able to win that way. Bad run here for the Wolf Warriors. One of them almost gets stuck up top, and that will be a very slow third marble unless some type of intervention happens with the other two. Oh, you can see that second marble just tried to hold itself back in an attempt to even knock that one forwards. Didn't work. Right there. And a little bit earlier too, we missed it in the replay, but 17:50. They're lucky to get a sub 18 second run, I would say, with the start they had, because their funnel was alright. But a horrible score there for the Wolf Warriors. Hummingbirds trying to match what we saw the first team, Polar Panthers, do, and not the Wolf Warriors. Similar naming schemes there. All 3 of those teams based off of animals. Hummingbirds the quickest of the 3, I would imagine. But they're taking their time in the funnels, and it might cost them. I don't know how they stack up to the Red Rogues. That's their closest comparison so far. They were all very homogenous, though. They will get 3rd out of 4 so far. And by that I mean the Red Rogues were very staggered. They had 1 marble back and 2 leading. Hummingbirds had all 3 at similar times, and while you would think that would be a good thing if the similar time is better than the other team's third marble's times, what ended up happening is they all had to take a turn to go into the funnel, and so they all ended up losing because of the turn-based system in which they had to enter. Here is Winfinity. Good first marble. If we were counting the first marble, it would be alright. Just need that last one to drop. And again, now they're close with the Hummingbirds. They definitely got worse than the Red Rogues. Polar Panthers, every team that comes through that performs in the 16-second range just makes the Polar Panthers run look a little more impressive. Winfinity is now 4th of 5. Wolf Warriors, of course, are that 5. Polar Panthers are 1, Red Rogues 2. Here come the Ferocious Flames. And they are off. Good work there not to get stuck on that spike in the middle of the stair-like contraption up top. They bound off each other in the funnels. A good first marble once again. and a good funnel overall, but that last one took a little bit of time to sink in. Do they beat the Polar Panthers, or are they just short? They will beat the Polar Panthers. A 15:36 is the new leading time. And it was close, but the Ferocious Flames are now on top after 6. Scientists are up next. Again, we bring it up almost every time we have the chance, but they performed so well in the qualifiers, it looked like they had tons of momentum heading into the season. It has not panned out so far. Every event, though, is a chance for them to get back into the form we saw earlier. Will this be the event? Alright, first marble. Good second. Waiting for that third to fall, and it just didn't come together for them there. That's Hummingbird's range. Did they beat the Hummingbirds? No, they fall just behind. And in fact, they are 6th place, only beating the Wolf Warriors so far. The Camos, 8th team to go, the halfway point. Ferocious Flames lead over the Polar Panthers. Red Rogues are still on the podium. The Camos, their third marble, stagnates a little bit. But that was a fast middle section, but they got stuck once again. They ended up actually in a pretty advantageous position, though, because 2 of their marbles that were further back ended up bouncing off each other. This could be a very good run for them. It will be. But how good? Not enough for first. On the podium, though, I would imagine. Enough for third by a pretty significant margin. I think that's over a quarter of a second. It is enough for the podium, tentatively. Will it last? We have no idea. But that's Ferocious Flames on top over the Polar Panthers and Camos. Red Rogues, of course, in 4th. Hummingbirds, Winfinity, Scientists, and Wolf Warriors after 8. 8 teams, of course, yet to run. The Electrolytes are up next. Then we head to the championship-leading Twilight Tailors. Electrolytes had a great qualifiers as well. They have performed better in the main tournament than the Scientists, but still not to the standard they set themselves in the qualifiers. Good middle section after a not so great start. It wasn't horrible. These two helping each other finish across the line with a decent time. I think it was in the 15s. I would guess third. It is third. 15:84 is the time for the Electrolytes, beating out the Camos by, I think, a tenth of a second and a little bit. Twilight Tailors, the 10th team to run. First in the standings and have been for a while. It took them a bit to get up there. Originally they were looking like, whoa, big mistake here for the Twilight Tailors. And one of their marbles won't finish. Horrible news for them. So the door is wide open for Lilac Lightning to cut that gap. The Twilight Tailors just got stuck in that middle section. I didn't even know that was possible for that to happen. But the way they entered and the distance between them set them up terribly. And they are last. And they may stay there because we have not seen a single other team have that problem so far. The Magmatics are up next. But that is a huge loss in the championship standings for the Twilight Tailors. Slow entry there for the Magmatics. Poor middle section. Can they bring it together in the funnel? This can make or break a team's run, how they take this funnel. And it looks like it may salvage them a little bit here. Good exits from all 3. Not enough for a podium, but enough for a top half performance so far, I would imagine. Maybe just 5th out of 9, or 5th out of 10, I guess now. 6 out of 11 is how it will go. Have to keep in mind, the bottom 2 is going to be hard to crack because one is a DNF and one was a very bad performance from the Wolf Warriors where one of the marbles almost completely stopped. Shimmering Stars are in 3rd and not by much, so they would love to close this gap as well. If they get a higher performance here than the Lilac Lightning, they could enter the next event in 2nd place. And the funnel seems to be going alright for them. Gotta watch that last marble though, and it just took a little bit longer than they would have liked. The door was wide open for the Sparkling Stars, but it's a late 16. A 16-8-3. It's 10th of 12, only beating the aforementioned bottom 2. So the gap will close a little bit, I guess. But not as much as it could have if they performed a little bit better. Team Antimatter. They have been in the mix throughout the entire season. In almost every event, they have not had too many where they have performed particularly poorly. They enter with good spacing, but then the spacing fails them in the next section. I was gonna praise them initially for how they entered the green because they entered. Oh, look at this! They've got going again. It did look like when that marble stopped, they had a better chance to be able to pick it up than the Twilight Tailors. It was just where they ended up getting caught in that midsection. As I was gonna say, I was initially gonna praise them for how they entered the green, and then it turns out the way they entered the green set them up for a horrible gray section. But the way that marble got stuck, I don't know if we'll be able to pan back up to it, but they got stuck kind of in the middle of that midsection where Twilight Tailors got stuck on the side that didn't have the drop. So it was salvageable for them, and they escaped last place. Here come the Freeze Burns, who have been running poorly, but that is a trend for the last group of team to go. They actually salvaged that pretty well, and will place better than I thought they would. Heading into the final, those first two especially did very well. But it all comes down to the third marble. And once again, the third marble does minorly disappoint, but a top 6 performance out of 14 there. I think they'll take that and be happy with it. Not much more you could ask for heading into that funnel. 2 teams to go. One of them is the Plasma Stripes. They would love these points. They are the last team, lowest in the standings, that can still win. Scientists cannot. And they get a DNF here too. Or will they? No, it rolls back in just like it happened to Team Antimatter. So now they are racing directly against Team Antimatter for spot number 14. And they got it pretty handedly. Disaster struck, but they got going once again. They will no longer be able to win this tournament, but they can take the moral victory there. It's 13 to 15, but unless this last team goes incredibly poorly, it will be 14th, and that last team is a lot like Lightning, so don't expect them to do very poor here. They know what they have to do. A goal to take the lead, a medal to close the gap, and anything in the top half they would take. They have some trouble, but it ends up working out. They actually ended up entering pretty well, despite their poor midsection. Will it be gold? It will not. But it will be a top half finish despite getting caught up in that gray section. It almost looked like that was strategic because they never once looked like they were actually stuck. And it really just was a few poor rolls there away from a medal, but the Lightning will end up top 5. It won't be enough for a podium, but for the Ferocious Flames, it will be. And they are a team in the top half, currently sitting in 8th place. They are happy there. Polar Panthers were in 9th. Electrolytes also love a medal there. The Camos, Lilac Lightning, round up the top 5, but the Ferocious Flames, maybe on a little bit of a hot streak. So as I had predicted, the Plasma Stripes are no longer able to win. That means only 14 teams still can. We're losing about a team every event now, but that number is going to exponentially rise. The lead up top is down to 7 points. The Lilac Lightning cut it down very well. The Freeze Burns are up into the top 3. Sparkling Stars still up in the conversation, and the Ferocious Flames round out the top 5. We will catch you all in event 10, the Snow Moguls.